Now at 10, vaccines at the grocery store.
It was really straightforward once the doses were available.
And the updated rollout timeline.
Some inmates will soon get the shot.
The jails are just as much a part of the community as the nursing homes.
And our Karen Morfitt learns of the stricter protocols behind bars.
Who controls an entire branch of the U.S. government is on the line tonight.
And homeless Mike, with only a backpack, the Aurora mayor lives on the streets for a week.
There's just so many questions that I have.
What he learned, only on CBS4 tonight.
Tonight, confusion over the state's distribution of COVID-19 vaccine doses. We know it's here, but now many people know exactly how to get it.
Today, the state reemphasized the importance of prioritizing frontline healthcare workers, also Coloradans age 70 and older. We also got a new timeline. The state now estimates a majority of healthcare workers in Phase 1A will be vaccinated by around January 15th. Then the state's supply of vaccines received this month and into late February will go to moderate risk healthcare workers, also first responders, and people 70 and older. The state expects frontline essential workers like teachers and supermarket workers to get their first doses near the end of February. But who gives out those doses and where to get them varies all over the state. Our Gionet continuing to follow the vaccine rollout tonight. Alan, we do know Safeway is one of the distributors across Colorado.
Well, Jim, already there is some staggering in the pace of those vaccinations, mostly because of location availability. 19 Safeways in Colorado, including 3 in Denver, this one here at Cremeria, are already giving shots to workers, mostly those who are not connected to larger healthcare systems who have vaccines. And it's a balancing act of eligibility and access.
It's exciting to be a part of the first wave of it.
Physical therapist Emily Roberts was glad to be at this Safeway for her shot.
It was really straightforward once the doses were available.
We've been working on COVID vaccine distribution for a couple months now.
Nikki Price oversees Safeway's pharmacies. They've worked with a dozen counties, including Denver, to vaccinate so far.
Pretty much the allocations that we've been receiving, we go through them within a couple days, and then we request more from the state or from that local health department.
Registration is through the Safeway website, which was easy for Emily.
It was very straightforward.
Denver wanted it to be simple.
That's obviously the priority, is to get vaccines into arms and to save lives. But with that, we want to make sure that whoever is eligible for a vaccine right now can get that without needing to jump through a lot of hoops.
They found it was a little too easy when somebody shared the link on social media.
That link was unfortunately shared publicly through Facebook, and folks that should not have had access did. And they essentially bombarded our system.
Price says they're hoping to expand to all Colorado stores within 7 to 10 days. Sign-ups for those over 70 will come when there are supplies.
Everybody wants more. I oversee several states, and we're seeing that same issue in every state.
Taking it may be the easiest part.
The actual vaccine itself didn't hurt at all.
Now, the links are being shared as places like medical offices like Emily's contact the health departments to tell them who needs shots. As we get deeper into Phase 1B and people over 70 become eligible, well, the websites will open up more to the public. Best idea? Watch your local public health department website to find out. In Denver, I'm Gionet, covering Colorado First.
And Alan, some of those county health departments, including Boulder's, are having people sign up to get vaccinated. Delta and Eagle counties tell us all of their vaccine appointments filled up within minutes. Colorado has received nearly 250,000 doses combined of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Almost half of them have been administered.
New tonight, state inmates 70 and older will soon get their vaccinations. The Department of Corrections is set to start administering the first doses tomorrow, and staff will also get their shots. This news comes following a debate over when to vaccinate inmates. There have been COVID-19 outbreaks at detention facilities, one of the largest, the El Paso County Jail. And after the ACLU filed suit against the jail, the facility will be required to provide masks and follow stricter health protocols. CBS4's Karen Morfitt live tonight with an update for us. And Karen, the ACLU says they hope this case can be an example for facilities all across the state.
Karen, they say they don't really have the ability to make these court-ordered provisions statewide. So their hope is that this result and what they were able to do and the changes they were able to make in Weld County will be enough for others to understand the protections that really need to be in place going forward. The El Paso County Jail at its worst reported 849 of their 1,200 inmates were COVID positive.
We learned that the sheriff had not only failed to provide masks to prisoners until this massive outbreak in the fall, but he had actually prohibited prisoners from using masks when they were in their housing units.
The ACLU filed suit. Legal Director Mark Silverstein says the result in agreement that will require they follow more than a dozen safety provisions, including providing inmates with not one but 2 cloth masks and requiring everyone inside the facility to wear one. Deputies must also check temperatures twice a day, and inmates that test positive must be separated from the general population.
They were not doing daily monitoring of symptoms. They weren't taking vitals. That seemed to us to be extremely dangerous, and I think the jail could have lost somebody easily.
It's now the second county under similar orders, cases that Silverstein says highlight a much larger issue.
The jails are just as much a part of the community as the nursing homes, as every part of the community. The virus doesn't stop at cell doors, either going in or coming out.
Now, we did also reach out to the sheriff's office for comment tonight. They say while it is their policy not to comment on pending litigation, they can say that it has been their practice since the beginning of the pandemic that they have taken and will continue to take all necessary and appropriate steps to protect inmates. And they say they have continuously consulted with the public health department there in El Paso County on how to respond to COVID. For now, we're live in Denver. Karen Morfitt covering Colorado First.
The city of Denver plans to clean up more homeless camps this week.
Yeah, 1 in 5 points tomorrow, the other in the Golden Triangle neighborhood Thursday. The city has cleared camps ever since opening up 2 safe zones for the homeless. But many fear the dismantling of the camps are pushing people to other cities, such as Aurora. That prompted Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman to go undercover as a homeless person for 7 days and nights. He told only Shaun Boyd about what he was doing. She joins us now live from Aurora this evening. And Shaun, this is pretty extreme, so why did he do it?
Karen, he wanted to find out why so many people are living on the streets. Who are they? How did they become homeless? And what really is going on in the encampments? He wanted answers not from advocates who may have agendas, but from the homeless themselves, which meant becoming one of them. So he took vacation, took to the streets, and for 1 week, Mayor Kaufman became Homeless Mike.
I have towels, socks, my tarp.
That's what you'll sleep under. The day after Christmas, Mike Kaufman packed a bag, promised to stay in touch with me,
I'm going to just periodically text you.
and went undercover to live among the homeless.
This week is going to be spent on the streets.
What's your story when you go in there? Are you Mike?
I'm a homeless veteran. Mike is fine. I have one identification card with me in case I get injured.
And you've had COVID.
Yes.
With no money, no food, and no protection, Kaufman set out. Be safe.
I will.
Be safe. Spending 7 days and nights in shelters and encampments in Aurora and Denver, sleeping under a tarp in temperatures in the teens. We met up with him at one point as he talked with some of the homeless.
How long you been here? Where you from? Oh, you shot some heroin? I think this is a really, really tough problem. And I don't think a lot of policymakers like myself really understand it. There's just so many questions that I have. Where does their income from? How do they exist? What is the profile of these people in these homeless encampments?
The answers would surprise him.
These encampments are not a product of an economy under COVID. They are not a product of rental rates, housing. They are a product of a drug culture.
Where he says mostly young adults openly use meth, heroin, and cocaine, and lots of well-meaning people provide money, food, and other necessities that sustain them.
One of the first people I ran into in an encampment, I said, well, you know, where do you get food? And he goes, people bring us food. And I almost really didn't believe it at first.
Until he saw it repeatedly.
I think the first car had homemade chicken noodle soup that was incredible. And banana nut bread, which was amazing too. And so 30 minutes later, another car comes by. It's just amazing how people want to help. They think that this cause is a just cause.
This is not about a lack of shelter.
It really isn't. It absolutely is not. It is a lifestyle choice, and it is a very dangerous lifestyle choice.
Enjoy your lunch.
While the shelters don't allow drug use, Kaufman says most don't search residents either. He sent me this picture of hypodermic needles on the floor of the bunk beneath him. Most of those here, he says, are older, receive disability checks, and have no plans to become self-sufficient.
The broadest category are drug and alcohol problems, where people have settled into this sort of lifestyle, and they're just not, decades go by and they're not moving on.
In some ways, he says, dependency becomes easier than self-sufficiency.
I can watch TV all day, eat a lot, and then there's a van that takes me in the evening to the overnight shelter. And then there's a van that picks me up in the morning and takes me back to the day resource center. I'm on an extraordinary challenge that is going to take a different vision to resolve. And it's not going to be doing more of the same. It's not going to be spending more money to do the same stuff.
Mayor Kaufman told me many of those he met were from out of state, and I found this interesting. He says he actually had to convince those in the encampments to let him stay there. The camps, he says, are like small communities with even their own unofficial leaders. Karen?
Shaun, so what does he plan to do with what he's learned now? What's next?
Would you believe a week before he hit the streets, Karen, he got a call from Denver Mayor Michael Hancock about working on a metro-wide approach to homelessness. Coming up tomorrow at 6, some major changes Kaufman wants to see, and they don't include a camping ban here in Aurora.
Still ahead, an update on the races to decide who controls the Senate, where the votes stand in Georgia.
Plus, former Governor John Hickenlooper back in office. He tells our Jeff Todd what he hopes to get done as senator.
Collaborate to really be successful.
And we still have rain and snow on the eastern plains. We'll talk about more rain and snow coming our way very quickly.
And coming up in sports, the latest on the Broncos ownership situation, when it might be resolved, and what Joe Ellis is saying about a potential ruling from the judge.